Hey Mooslings, and welcome to another Sims build video. Today we're going to be taking our stab at an apartment building. It kind of looks a little funky right now, and I also started with a structure. So let me go ahead and get into why we're starting with a structure instead of a ground up, and then we'll talk more about the build as it progresses. So the reason that you see that we've started with a full building right at the beginning of the video is literally because I had something else entirely recorded previous to making this one. So I had a whole maybe 45 minutes, hours worth of filming of trying to figure out the best structure for an apartment building. And let me tell you, I'm not like the best builder. Okay, let's be honest. You've seen the other two videos. I mean, they're okay, but they're nothing to write home about, right? Okay, it's hard for me. Just to be very honest. So when trying to also think about how the residents would get in, they couldn't go into each other's rooms to reach other portions of the building. Gotta be careful with shapes because these freaking stairs will be the death of me. Just lots of these different elements kind of taking hold. And so I ended up getting really frustrated and just could not make the original building work. So I actually scrapped it entirely and I started building this one without filming just to see if I could find anything that I really liked. I referenced a couple of builds from James Turner, who I watch religiously and I love his builds, but he's got a really good eye for how things can work and maneuver around the space. And also I probably duped myself again because technically this is a smaller space. And I'm not very spatially aware, especially when it comes to The Sims, but The Sims need a lot of room to move around and utilize the items that you give them. So the first building did not work out. I started building this one, kind of liked where it was going and decided, okay, I've got a basic structure down. I have a way for them to get up and down. Maybe I'll just go ahead and start filming and see what happens. So technically, yes, we started with a structure, but there's nothing inside. It was just literally me trying to figure out what the structure is and get a basic understanding of what kind of layout might work. So on to the current build. As you can see, I also kind of wanted this to look like an official apartment building. Like they usually have things on the roof, and different units and things. I found these wall units, which wasn't exactly what I was looking for, and I do eventually find them, but I was looking for like the HVAC units. I didn't realize that's what they were called. So I have these on the outside and I was like, oh, these would be great, and I still might utilize them because actually this is only part one of the total build. The rest of the build is going to take place in increments because it takes so long for me to design each individual room. So actually in this build we do the rooftop here, we do the full outside of the building, and then we also do the first floor rooms, which aren't actually apartment buildings. They're common space and amenity space. And then in the next build video, we'll get into actually going through and building out apartment rooms. As you can see here, I'm just kind of finagling some things, trying to figure out what I want on the roof. At first I thought I might make it accessible like a patio space, but then I thought they're gonna have like my vision at this time was they're gonna have a full deck space, and as you can see on the right there, they have access to an entire beach area as well. So I figured, it would be nice maybe to have a rooftop terrace, and maybe one time we do that. But in this build, I was already kind of overwhelmed with just putting things down and making it work. So I built them an entire pool deck and just kind of used this for kind of an eco-friendly look. That was functional, and hopefully, I don't know if it helps the bills if the tenants are just tenants and not the building owner, or if it only helps the building owner. I don't really know how it works. I haven't actually played in the for rent package, so not really sure how that works. But if you know, feel free to leave a comment down below. But I thought it would be nice to have this eco touch. And like I said, at some point, probably near the end of the video, I think, I actually end up finding what I was looking for, which was like those non-functional HVAC units that I end up putting up at the top of the building. Throughout this video, You're also going to see me change windows and design a little bit. I found that outside of the structure of the building, the most difficult part here was figuring out how to add the wallpaper on the outside to not make it look so weird. I feel like sometimes apartment buildings often have like different siding or different looks for the actual building versus the building that you like check into that has all your amenities. They're also usually separated. At least those are the ones that I've lived in most often. It's not usually like I don't know like a hotel kind of situation where you like walk into the lobby and that's also where you would go to your room. Most of the apartments that we've lived in is like a separate check-in building, and then you walk or, you drive to wherever your personal building is with your room in it. So in this case, I'm kind of building it attached because I thought it would be nice for them to be able to walk through the lobby, which of course isn't really functional. But walk through the lobby and be able to access all the amenities, the pool house, etc. So yeah, that's kind of what I was doing here. So in this, like I said, the picture, oh my goodness, I'm getting my words all mumbly jumbled. But finding this wallpaper, sorry, at first I just couldn't find anything that really vibed with me. I ended up going with this, and then I was like, oh, well, I'll just wrap the entire building in the plain one. And then I was like, no, it needs to be different because it just feels like it needs some contrast. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm trying to figure out what makes the most sense to go on this wall. And it was honestly super hard because I was like, well, this is a tropical place, so should it look tropical? And then I was like, well, it could. And I've got the windows and the furnishings and things, and, that looks good. But does it have to be? No. So I ended up going with this really gray tile, as you can see, for the actual building itself. And I do like the play on the warm and the cool tones here. Like you've got the warm in the wood and then the cool tone on the tile, which I think pairs really nicely with each other. And here I'm just trying to figure out the layout of doors and things now that I have the stairs set on the inside. Maybe play around a little bit. I knew I wanted to use that like, what do they call it? Is it houndstooth? It's not houndstooth. It's like the horizontal slats on the inside wallpaper. I ended up changing the color of it, but I kept the vibe there because it was a really nice wallpaper. And I ended up using that all the way up through the stairwell there. It's kind of a fancy stairwell, in fairness. I'm going to decorate the stairwell as well. I just feel like it adds a little bit. I also have the balconies that you can walk out on. So I thought that was very beachy because a lot of the resorts that I've been to, for the most part, kind of have like a place where you walk up the stairs that might be enclosed, or like use the elevator, which is the other thing I would really like in The Sims, a freaking functional elevator. But they typically have like that part enclosed, and then sometimes you have to walk outside on a covered balcony to get to your actual room. So like when you walk out of your room, you're physically outside, but you're like still covered on the terrace. So it's kind of what I did here, but on the top floor, I anticipate that entire top floor being one apartment complex or one apartment room. So they will actually have the entire balcony as an actual balcony and not just a walkthrough here. As you can see here, we're just trying to figure out this pool area. I did know for sure I wanted a pool. I feel like that's appropriate since they're on the beach and that makes the most sense. But I was also trying to figure out how to connect the look with the two different tones of building that we have here, which I've really duped myself on that. There was definitely ways I could have avoided having to figure out what to do with that. But I ended up with this, and I think it looks really nice. I also wanted to use the glass railing, and I actually do change that up on the balconies as well, because I feel also inclined to kind of have like a through pass with your vision so that you can see the beautiful ocean behind you, especially, the way that the building is oriented. That was also very purposeful, so that if you're walking on the balcony, I know they're Sims and they don't really care, right? But if I were walking on the balcony, I would want a beautiful ocean view and maybe a view outside my front window or something that, could capture the ocean. So I feel like this kind of worked out. Just adding a little bit of a step up in the front here and trying to get the right look. I did make the trim on the bottom different in the back than the front, but I feel like it works. Again, because it's just a different look, a different vibe. This is me checking to make sure I'm not crazy and I like everything that's happening. This is where I update those to look more like the class. And now I think I transition to kind of figuring out the layout here. Especially on this first floor, because like I said, there aren't actually any apartments on this first floor. It's all amenities. So I wanted to make sure there was a hallway. I knew I definitely wanted a little gym, maybe like a little study area, because sometimes even in resorts and things, they have like a room where if you need to use the computer or you need to print something, they have that available to you. And then somewhat of a cafe kind of lounge area where Sims could hang out and, you know, do different activities together. This is also me trying to figure out the foundation of these apartment buildings. I knew the first floor I kind of wanted to have as many as possible that were functional. So I created this, the last one on the very end here where the boxes are, that's the only one that's like a square smaller than the other three. And I kind of liked that because I think that one we're going to make into a studio. These are more of like, you got a separate bedroom, separate bathroom, etc. But I think the last one is like, you know, maybe a little more cost effective. It's a studio. It doesn't really have a lot of separation, but it's still a functional place. And this is where I started to kind of freak out because I'm like, do I even have enough room? And this is the part that made me freak out about the last build, honestly. Here I'm just trying to figure out where to put the doors and what kind of doors I want to use. I think I maintain the brown wood. I'm not 100% if I do or don't. When I go back into the build, I do kind of want to change that if they're still brown, because I did want it to match more with the white windows that I end up using for this half of the building. I just feel like it would look better. This second floor, I wanted to have a couple of options, basically. I didn't want them to all be one bedroom. I wanted them to be a little bit bigger. So that's me trying to figure out what makes the most sense so that I can have multiple bedrooms, but then also still have enough space for, you know, your living, kitchen, etc. Because it doesn't make a lot of room. It doesn't make a lot of room. It doesn't make a lot of sense to have an oversized bedroom option, but then have zero living space. I've always hated that going into like apartment buildings that we've lived in. It's like the bedroom's fantastic, but then I can't fit my couch anywhere. So that's kind of not ideal. And then I think I end up doing a 3-bedroom here, or maybe not. I think we do 2 or 3 rooms here total, like separate apartment rooms, but I really wanted to try and like make them bigger as you go, you know? And then as we're building here, this is when I start to realize that I don't have as much space as I thought that I did. And again, I may get to the rooms and realize I actually have more space. This was just me trying to get a general idea to make sure that I could fit everything that I think I'm gonna need. So realistically, we could begin building in this, in these, and find out that I can actually like make things smaller or maybe fit another apartment room in there, etc. And all of the doors, for the most part, are just placeholders. All of the rooms can be adjusted later, so you know, it's okay. I just wanted to make sure I had room to work, and I wanted to have this last one have like an ensuite from the actual bedroom, so that's what you see on the left there. So it's got 2 separate bedrooms, 2 separate bathrooms, which I think is nice, because the first one on the right there had 2 bedrooms but 1 bathroom, so I just kind of wanted to give variety. This one I'm trying to figure out the door situation, especially on this little one right here. This little one is so I have like that space marked off for a bed, but then I was like, would you really have that much space for a bedroom if it was already small to begin with? And then I was like, well, do I even make a separate room for it? Because look how much space, there's like none. When I could literally try and use one of those like partitions or something to section off a bedroom area. This is me literally going, no, it's just a studio and I'll come back to it later. I love when you can see the thought process real time. It's really wonderful. This is me deciding that that whole top floor is going to be one luxurious apartment. And then I will add doors to the outside balcony for that top floor. It just wasn't a priority because I was like, it's just going to be one room. I'll figure it out, the rooms and layout later. So then this is me going through and deciding how I wanted to outfit this beginning room. Because again, even if it's not a functional, say, check-in area or something like that. Oh, I just realized I need to put mailboxes somewhere. Making a mental note, future me, please put mailboxes in. But anyway, oh, and bins probably. So I need to at least kind of give it the look of something that would be a functional like check-in room or something like that. So this is just that beginning stage. So it will probably change a little bit, of course, as the course goes on, because that's just how I operate. And the theme of the actual room also adjusts a little bit. I thought I originally wanted to go with this blue and like warm tone wood, and I guess that's marble. I don't know what you would call that on the top of the countertop. But anyway, I thought that's kind of the vibe that I wanted to go with, but then I was thinking like it doesn't really match. Well, I think it doesn't really match the glass on the stairs very well, and I kind of wanted this really modern look on the inside, even though the outside was probably a little more traditional and like not as glossy or marble or whatever kind of words you want to use for. It's hard for me to describe where my brain was at this point, but so I originally started out with this like bluish warm yellowy tone kind of combo, and then I decided, as you just saw, I just ripped everything out and was like, this is not going the way I want it to go. The cabinets for some reason just were not working with me once I got, kind of settled on them, and I was like, well, I could change it, but I didn't really see anything that wasn't boring. Which, look, not that white cabinets, there's definitely a time and a place for them, genuinely. But I have lived in a place with stark white cabinets, and we had like black countertops, which are actually kind of cool. But it was like everything just felt so sterile, even though it was very modern. So I knew I still wanted to capture color in here somehow, but none of the blues were working together. I couldn't find furniture that kind of meshed together the vision that I had. I had this like non-countertop thing in the corner, which ended up not working out because, fun fact, you can't put a coffee maker on any surface. It specifically has to be a counter, or unless you know a trick where it's still functional with something else. I could not get it to work, which is such a shame. Like, I understand some things having specificity, but like the freaking coffee maker, I don't know. I've put my coffee maker on a lot of weird surfaces, and I'm sure there's like coding and reasons why for The Sims that's the case, but I ended up having to put the countertops back there because I did kind of want like this coffee station. I feel like in most places when you walk in, they've got a little like coffee or tea or water something. I guess I could have put like a water something in there. Anyway, as a refreshment when you come in to either tour the apartment, or maybe you're just a resident and they just have that available. It doesn't matter. The bottom line is I got to this blue section and started filling it in. The tones were off. I couldn't get the woods the same. I couldn't get, without just everything being blue and white, which just started to taste really boring to me, and really dark is the other thing. Like, I love a moody room. Do not get me wrong. I love like this soft grayish blue wall. I genuinely do. But I feel like I just come into this like this mindset where everything has to be in the same tone, and then I just get lost in these color palettes, and it just messed with me. Okay. Started diving into this going, this is not going the way that I thought that it would. So anyway, you'll see this blue. Everything changes very quickly in a matter of minutes when I decide that this is not the route I want to go. Because look, like even this thing, first of all, that thing is huge. Do you see how far it sticks out from the wall? Second of all, it's all the same tone. It's all the same tone. And then I was like, well, if I have a coffee bar, I need to put something like right here. And that thing is huge also. Oh, wait, it also comes in horrible color palettes that do not make any sense with what I have. And that's the closest one I have, which is once again, white and like this soft tone wood. It's just not, I could have gone with orange maybe, but that felt a little too weird. It doesn't matter. It all ends up changing anyway because I start getting frustrated. And then I'm like, you know what? I need to brighten something. I need to get the walls I need to make the room feel a little more inviting, which is exactly what happens. So here is where I look at this wall and I'm like, no, something has got to change. I'm looking at all the patterns. I'm looking at all the colors. I'm like, you know what? Pink looks really good. Maybe, well, is that too girly? No, I'm going to go with pink. And I just start ripping into all of these different colors and concepts of the stuff. And I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I don't like what's happening. I'm going to change it. Just do a quick Uno reverse on the entire color palette of the room, which I end up liking more. First of all, because it's bright. Second of all, because I'm a pink lover, but also third, because it started looking like the room I had envisioned. I'd even changed, I don't know if I changed the stairs yet, but those stairs, if they're not already, end up being like this beautiful marble color. You know, I don't know. I end up liking it a lot more. I thought I wanted to maybe just add the pink and keep the blue, but then I was like, does it kind of look like a nursery? Which is also not the vibe. This is when I'm just like, screw the color. I'm gonna change it. And then this little hutch thing ended up coming in pink, and I was like, well, you know what? Maybe it's meant to be. So that's what we end up doing. So we end up going with a tan and white and pinkish kind of color. And also, feel free to add your comments as usual. I genuinely love to hear whatever you have to say and any feedback that you have, because it helps my brain as well. Kind of like, and this is when I decided that stupid coffee maker couldn't go on the hutch. Anyway, but I would love to hear your comments. Like, I don't know. I feel like it looks the way that I wanted it to in general, and I've got the vibe down right and everything's good. But I do get into this rut where like I feel like maybe my colors are too close together, or, you know, maybe the look is too cohesive. I don't know. Just kind of letting it run. This is me trying to figure out how these freaking shelves work, because that was also difficult. Also, I liked the little coffee sign, but hated the fact that you couldn't change the color. But I mean, it's a cute little pop, I guess. And also, I also understand that like once you start adding other elements like these plants, the vibe of the room definitely takes shape. It's just, I like my colors, don't get me wrong, but like, what do you do with all of them? I don't know. Maybe I just need more practice. Who knows? And it's still fun, I guess. Also, these shelves hold basically nothing. I had to freaking add or do the cheat to get those things up there for the most part, which means I believe that when the walls come down, some of that stuff just might sit there. So sorry about that. There's like no other way to do it. There's no other way for it to sit. It's like the weirdest things don't fit there randomly. So now I'm just going to start outfitting, which is my favorite and also most frustrating part, because I love decorating, but there's so many things to remember and look for, and like, oh, I forgot we had that, or oh, I could have used that here. You know, lots of different things. I love these curtains. They're super cute. They're also super short on the bottom, which is fantastic. I love the sweeping and the waving kind of curtains, but they just don't work in this space because they would touch the ground and then I'd have to move forward the stuff. I just don't want to do that. Also trying to figure out if there are other larger items I can fit here. And then I remembered we could probably put a coat rack there. And just kind of trying to find things that work in a space that's meant to be more, I don't know what you would call it. Like I tried to find that plaque and it said stolen on it, and hopefully, you know, whatever. But then I found this other one. I was like, well, that's kind of cool. It kind of looks like it belongs there, like it's part of the complex or whatever. I'm trying to find things that would look like they would belong in the front room of an apartment building that you're trying to check into or talk about or whatever. You know, just things like that. Just the simple things. I also figured there might be some treats on the table or something. And also my mental note consistently is you do not have to fill every surface. You do not have to put something on every available space. which is very difficult for me. Because I feel like, well, if you have the space, you should put something there. That's not always the case, okay? You don't have to do that. I regret not using that coat rack in the corner, but I felt like it just kind of jammed everything up. And realistically, you don't want a whole lot in this front lobby, I guess, because it's accessible, you know. I don't know. You'd probably have to like lock the front door or something and maybe go around the back in a real space so that people don't just like steal your stuff. I don't know. Also, there's hardly anything that fits on top of this little not bookcase. I guess it's technically a closet, but I'm using it as a, look, I found the HVAC. Anyway, but there was nothing that would fit on top of that. And I was like, oh, but you would have like papers or boxes if this was being used as a closet. Like you would have stuff on top of there. So I just freaking, it's just something else that's just gonna be there when the walls come down. It's like one thing after another. And then I was like, well, I was kind of getting to the point where I was like, is this enough stuff? Have I found everything? And I put that coat rack there and I was like, this looks good. And then there was like this blank wall on the left, like behind those cushions. I was like, well, I certainly can't leave that blank. I gotta put something there. But there's not a lot of things that I thought would make the most sense there. I thought about this little poster set. It's kind of strange though. Like my brain couldn't figure out, okay, should it go on the fully blank space with nothing underneath it? Or should it go behind the cushion and it's kind of like this weird oblong thing? Should I have something on the stairs? I ended up finding this sign that kind of looked like it could be like the sign for the brand of the apartment complex you were in. And I was like, well, this is kind of cool, but where do I situate it? My brain overthinks when it comes to things like this, and also it gets really tired really fast. So like as I'm trying to figure this out, my brain is also like, okay, we're all done, but I'm pushing forward because I'm like, I really want to be able to do something in this build other than this one little room. So I finally just move on. I put that thing up there. Everything looks good. And then this is me. So in the new pack, these two, so you have the water heater on the right, there's a functional and non-functional, and then you have the electrical panel, functional and non-functional. The one with the light on is the functional one, the one without the light is the non-functional one. And as a property owner, you have to maintenance these things. And like if there's a break or something, you have to go in and fix it. And so I figured it would be cool to have the utility room maybe connected to the gym, which is what the next room we're going to be working on is. So I went ahead and set those up. I wasn't sure if I wanted it to look like there was only like one. I mean, it's a big building. So realistically, there would probably, you know me guys, like I'm talking too much. That's why I'm yawning. I couldn't decide, since it was such a big building, if it should have 2 or 3 or how big this room is. But then I was like, you're already kind of limited on space. Even though it would be more realistic to have more than one looking, even if they weren't both functional or whatever, there just wasn't room. And I knew I wanted to have enough equipment in the gym to at least have like, 2 treadmills, 2 of the weight machines, and maybe a boxing thing. So I play around with this layout. Realistically, looking back on it, I probably could have smushed some of the cafe part later. I mean, what I fit in there fits in there now, and there's no going back on that. But realistically, I probably could have allowed myself a little bit more room to the left and like opened it up a bit in order to accommodate these more readily. But I was like, this is all for the property owner, and so it's also just for aesthetics, realistically. So I ended up just making this room as small as possible, opening up the gym a little bit more to give me more space to work with. And I think I like the way it turned out in the end. Is it realistic to have only one of these panels for an apartment this size? No. Is this The Sims? Yes. So I feel like I get a pass. I also love this flooring, and I ended up going with this really nice clean wallpaper, which I think complements it really well. It's a little boring, but then again, it is an apartment complex, so they're not going to splurge on like fancy wallpaper everywhere. Plus it's a gym, so you don't want to like put something nice there and have it messed up. And then I end up using these windows throughout this side. So these white windows I'm going to centralize for the actual apartment buildings, and then the wood tones and things, like you see me changing that door color, because I want that wood tone to be more on the outside of where the stairwell and the check-in building is. here I'm just deciding what kinds of items I can fit in here. You see, I start out with just the boxing thing. I move the door a little bit because I'm like, well, I could probably fit more than one in here. So that there's definitely room. I also have move objects on, so at some point once we're finished completing the entirety of it, I think we should playtest the building and just make sure everything functions the way that it should. I wanted to make this little area so it kind of looked like, you know, you could clean off your machines or, you know, grab a towel if you're sweaty, because ew. I also don't think I put a bin in there, which probably would have made a little bit of sense. I don't know, it's fine. Realistically, they're not going to use the bin for anything other than random crap anyway. I found these little rolly towels too, which I thought was great. They're technically from the spa pack, but I think they work really nice here because it's kind of like, you know, if you're gross and sweaty or whatever, you would just grab a towel and that's cute and wonderful. Also move the door because who wants to walk into a rack? Just gym things. And then this is me once again not listening to my own advice and deciding to fill every crevice of this little tiny shelf that I put here, but I think it works. Also, put a fan in there because I feel like that's realistic for a gym. I also do put a TV in front of the treadmills. I thought about putting the like the music speakers in here, but then I was like, if somebody has the TV on and the music is playing, that might be a little clashy when you're actually playing the game. But feel free to add them, like if you take this build and you like make it your own once we're finished with it and it's uploaded on the gallery, you know, outfit this however you want to. I haven't put speakers anywhere down there because again, the clash of noise could be really aggressive. And in the final room where the little lounge slash cafe slash kind of game area is, I do end up putting some instruments and a microphone up there because I thought it might be cool to have, like, you know, if the residents or if they have just like a comedy speaker that comes in to, you know, hang out at the apartment complex as one of their amenities, because it is a pool area. I mean, you could do a lot of things. I thought it might clash with the noises that would be coming from that. So feel free to add speakers. Who knows? I may go back into this build when we start going to the other places. I need to put in the mailboxes anyway. And maybe rethinking some of this, but I do like the way it ends up coming out. And these two pieces, like the pieces that I have in the middle, are just, you know me, the things that I find and I'm like, oh, maybe I'll use this for that. And that's just what happens. Also, the windows are probably going to be a little funky because as the rooms start to take shape, they do start to shrink a little bit. So, you know. So this, we've moved on from the gym now, as you can see. This I've decided is going to be like a little computer, maybe library-ish type place. I really wanted to capture, you know, everything that I think a sim or even a real person in an apartment complex might want, you know, in a rental property for amenities. Also figuring out what kind of wallpaper to put places is literally my greatest crutch. Like, I freaking hate it, but I also love it. And also, I wasn't 100% sure about this carpet. Number one, I feel like you would have carpet in this room. If for nothing more than it's soft, but also for like noise if you're next to the gym, which I've just now realized I probably could have had the library at the end instead of dead center between the gym and the very loud playroom cafe area, but it's too late. When you watch this in hindsight, you're like, was that really the best decision? I don't know. It doesn't really matter. It's just kind of where it ended up. So in here, I kind of have like this peach tone kind of happening. Originally I had these bookshelves because I loved how different they looked, and I loved the shape of them. Like, I love those corners. And I also like that they kind of, I mean, they go together. Obviously, they're from the same pack or whatever, but they just looked really nice there. But I do end up changing it because I changed the desks. I wanted them to be a little bit more modern, I guess is the right word. I feel like I'm reusing these so in the beginning with the beginning room where you would like check in and things, I used the same seats, and I wanted to kind of put a touch of that in this room, which I think complemented the walls really nicely. But then I was like, these bookshelves and these desks don't really fit the vibe that you would expect them to have. It kind of looks a little bit more traditional, more so than I was looking for. So I end up going with these desks, and then I'm like, well, these bookshelves don't really match what this looks like to me. So I do end up switching those out. I tried to keep them and just try to change the color, but there really wasn't a color. Again, there really wasn't a cohesive color that, worked for me and in this room. I also really struggled with lighting in this build, especially in these common areas. I feel like it's a little more difficult. One, because I guess my brain tries to be as realistic as possible sometimes, and then it just completely ignores it other times. But basically my thought process is, if you're in a complex, whether it's an apartment, a resort, a hotel, whatever, very untypically do they deviate from the basics that they have, right? So if you walk into a room and they have the puck lighting at the top, they probably have that throughout. They may have a fancy chandelier or something at like a bar that they host or something, but very rarely are you going to find extremely different lighting and furniture styles, because it's whatever they can buy in bulk and also whatever fits the theme. So the difficult part for me is going, I could make every room specifically unique to that room with no bearing on whether this would be in a realistic setting, where it's just like, no, we would not have fancy desks like this. It would probably be just a basic wooden desk that was super cheap and a basic rolly chair to put in front of the desk, right? That makes the most sense. But this is The Sims, where we can be a little more creative than that. So I do waffle just a little bit on that. Oh, and then I found this cute little sign, and I end up putting signs in front of all the doors because I feel like that's cute, because they're kind of like little labels for what the rooms are, which I like. So anyway, that's kind of the struggle I was on here. I like the way it turned out. Is it 100% realistic? I tried, right? So these lights in this room are actually similar to the lights that are in that front room at the check-in. They'd probably put this carpet, the carpet looks like something that you would put down because it's cheaper, and has like that weird modern-ish but kind of old school pattern. The random art that is the same but different with the I tried, guys. I really tried. But then this middle one where it's just like this free-falling plant mirror collage situation, yeah, that's probably not very realistic. And then this is me once again trying to put a coffee pot on something that isn't a counter and realizing it is just freaking counters. Oh, I hated it so much. I think I ended up just putting like a drink tray or something. I forget. Well, I put one there. I don't know if it stays or not. But anyway, yeah, I really tried, because then I was like, I know it's a computer room or whatever, but realistically, you'd probably have like a little refreshment area or something. And I just felt like a water cooler would look tacky. I don't know. I probably could have just put in a water cooler, but then again, I probably could have put a water cooler in the front room. I ended up settling on this, where it's like you have the drink tray, but maybe the coffee pot and the whatever is tucked away in this little thing, and you just like bring it down if you want to use it. I tried, and then I put a little mug on there just for the sake of it. And then I wanted to make sure that the excessive decoration spread over here as well, because that's the other thing I feel like complexes do. Like, they just put the weirdest crap on the walls, and you're like, where did you come up with wanting to use this? But yeah, it kind of works. Definitely sets the vibe, I guess. I love this little herb garden thing. Would you have that in a study? Probably not, but there she is. And I also really wanted to kind of bring the earth tones back to it, because like in the front room, it kind of had like these wood-ish tones. I just didn't want it to be so light the whole time. But anyway, so that's the whole study room. I do like the way it turned out. I feel like there could be a couple adjustments here or there, but I was satisfied enough to move forward. And this is where things start to get crazy. So initially I was like, I have all this space. I could have like a room down here, realistically, right? But then I was like, does that make sense? Would you have all these amenities down here and then one random room? Probably not. So what I end up doing is making a play / cafe / bathroom area, just to kind of open it up. So like if you're down here, for example, realistically, you'd probably have bathrooms, first of all, but second of all, you also would not have to go all the way upstairs to your room to use it. And that's one thing that I didn't have down here, and I didn't anticipate building it. I just had the room to do it, which, you know, in hindsight, thanks universe for watching out for me. The Sims universe anyway. So I do end up putting a bathroom down here. I end up putting separate stalls so that it's just gender neutral and it doesn't really matter because Sims get kind of weird. And I didn't want to put the stalls in there in case there was like any weirdness that happened where they stopped using it because the other sim was in. I just didn't want anybody being embarrassed and not using the bathroom because that's literally what it's here for. So I put these 4 toilets in. I decided that the last one should be used for like a shower. You know, because if you're in the gym down there, maybe you're like headed out for work and you don't want to have to walk all the way up the stairs to your 4th floor, which is ridiculous, Sims. Why do we not have elevators? But anyway, then there's like a shower down here that you can use. It just kind of works out. Or if somebody gets splashed with coffee, there's at the cafe, you could just take a shower. I try to reuse as much flooring as possible for the same realistic reason as before. I think in this case, I do end up changing it because the vibe is just not working. So I end up going with like a really dark, moody tile, which doesn't fit the rest of the vibe. This bathroom turned much more industrial, as did the cafe, but I felt like the cafe stuff that I put out without changing the colors at all and didn't look at in the slightest just kind of fit this vibe. And so instead of looking at the other colors the cafe could offer, I ran with this. And I'm not necessarily mad at it. I think it kind of breaks up the look a little bit, and it's a bathroom, right? Like, what else can you really say? It's a bathroom. I think it turned out really nice. I added the warmth back in. I tried to look at what other options I could have, you know, for the sinks, but I ended up just going with what it had because I feel like it worked. I do have a little, you'll see I have that little convection oven there. I think the Sims can just use that autonomously if they don't want to order from the kitchen, but there's no, oh dear, there's no fridge in here. I don't know if that's necessary, but I feel like there should be a fridge in here. Future Kirsten, just remember, you need a refrigerator and you need the mailboxes. Thanks, love you, bye. But yeah, so I feel like it kind of broke it up. It just kind of worked with what the cafe looked like. So I just went with it. And like I said, it kind of worked. It kind of broke it up. I feel like these walls, you know, I liked the pattern on the floor. I feel like it was really light and bright, but then I was like, do you also do a pattern on the walls? And I was like, well, I feel like you need to have kind of a more subtle pattern if that's the case, which I do feel like works. Of course, like I said, please give me your opinions. You may be like, what the heck were you thinking? That is disgusting. Never do that ever again. Do not assault my eyes. But I felt like it kind of worked because the walls had more of like that gold tone in the pattern, which kind of pulled the warmth from the floor. Maybe you think it's hideous. Just let me know. But I love this concept. I actually don't know. This is something else we'd have to play test. I don't know if anyone will operate the counter. If it's just for show, Sag. Because I just don't know how it works in the for rent package. This is just me outfitting a little bit more, getting a good feel for what it needs to look like, what's the vibe, etc. And then I end up using these chairs to like, it's like a little waiting area, but I also use them in the lounge area as well for like extra seating. Because I realized even though I have like the games and everything in here, there's not really a place for them to just lounge. You know. Maybe I didn't think of everything because I ended up building like this makeshift stage, which you'll see in just a moment, because again, I really thought it'd be cool to like have Sims entertain themselves and each other, which, you know, they usually do. So I kind of set this up in a way that had every potential skill available that I could find that would make sense in a space like this in this room. Also, fun fact, similar to the freaking coffee maker, you also cannot put this like llama tower thing on just any table. It has to be a game table. Also super frustrating because the game tables range from like just this wooden dark table to like something that you would set up at a campsite, which is not the vibe. If we could either get more tables to accommodate the gaming thing or more gaming table options, that would be fantastic. This is also me realizing that this is getting really moody. Like it went from pinks and light woods and, bright spaces to dark table, dark chairs, industrial side tables. It got real moody. I don't hate it. I feel like it's an interesting play on the vibes in this room with the wallpaper and the flooring. I think it works. You may think otherwise, and that's all acceptable. But I really tried to make it make as much sense as possible. So why can I not place a platform without the wall disappearing entirely? Like, excuse me, that was meant to go there. Also, something was super glitchy. So with this, you'll see me try and figure out this plant situation as well. There's a plant on that platform up there. Look at this. I place it and then I want to put it on a diagonal. Why do you sink into the ground like it's made of mud? This is not a sinkhole. This is a platform. But it works fine when I do it like facing that way. What? Questions? This is me very confused. I also put the tile that I used in the bathroom on this platform, which I think ties in the look even more. Like it brings the warmth in to this room where it's got like the gold tones and everything. I feel like it really ends up working out. But anyway, that plant was so weird. But like, look, these things are going on diagonal just fine and they're not sinking into the abyss. Like, I just don't understand what happened. I don't understand why that's a thing. I add more warmth to the space by putting in these wooden slats. I ended up going with a lighter tone, but bringing in that wood just a little bit more so that the floors are represented as well. I decided I was really thinking I wanted some lights in here, like through the wood slats. I ended up not doing it because I only would have been able to put one string and it not look weird. Those other ones are just so weirdly shaped and there's not a single one that's shorter than the shortest one that they have, which is also kind of strange. I don't know. It just didn't work out, which is fine. I found another unique way to put some mood lighting in here, which again, hopefully you like. I ended up really liking it. And I think I find, this is me like, well, it doesn't really span the whole thing. And the other one that's super loopy doesn't make a lot of sense. This was my golden goose. Oh my goodness. I was like, these are for the bed, but does this not look super cute? First of all, it's super freaking bright in here and I do remedy that because of these lights. But oh my gosh, like how cute, right? Like this cute little drape of mood lighting. How freaking cozy is that? I would love that. I say that. I would be so afraid that they would like catch a flame with the fairy lights. If you have these and they have not caught a flame, let me know because I would love to do this, but I'm terrified of fire. But just look how cute and warm it looks in there now with this added little lighting, and I just really like that so much. I also love this little plant holder shelf unit thing. I use this a lot actually, even in my own personal builds, because I just feel like it makes the most sense. And then I fill this wall with some funky art, because why not? And it doesn't really match the vibe, but it brings in those tones of like the dark brown and like the black, and I just feel like it just sets the tone with all the extra colors and brings a little more color to the space, because it is a little bit barren, which is why I also have that funky carpet there. I try to add color where I can. It ends up being like plants in plants. It's where my color comes from. There's also nothing else you could put on this side one, which I hated, but it's fine. Anyway, I think that is the end of that. I think I change out this just a little bit, and instead of putting, you know, a useful something like, I don't know, a freaking refrigerator, put a plant there instead. But I do feel like I need one. I think I put up a couple of cabinets and that coffee thing again. Just it's decoration, but it also, I mean, it would be like a functional cafe situation. And then I found these cabinets that look like they could use, like you could open up with like dishes or extra materials. I was like, that would be super cute stacked, but they don't, like, they align with each other, but they don't have the correct spacing. And this really pissed me off. So I ended up just moving them onto this wall because I still wanted to use them. I feel like they still looked good together, and I was like, well, fine, I'll just put the stupid coffee thing by itself, put a little coffee sign again on there, and just be done. So, I really made myself mad with that one. I also could probably put something underneath that, like a little table or another table on the other side of those seats, but is that too cluttered? I don't know. And then this is me finalizing the light situation. I feel like those cute little basket lights make a lot of sense there. It's very modern, but also again fits that color palette that's a little bit more moody. I loved this little pendant light. I did add a little puck light underneath it because it was still kind of dark in the cafe, and I feel like it would be lighter. And then I fiddle with these signs, and in the hallway, just trying to finalize this part of the build, and this would end the inside of the build. So just gonna add some decoration. I wanted to find another sign to add outside the gym. I ended up using the one that I originally used for the cafe because I find a better one for the cafe. Also, these signs are massive. Honestly though, as I'm thinking about this, I didn't even try to size them down. I probably could have, but usually when they're this size, they end up being like extremely small. I end up using a sign that looks similar to the logo in the front room that just maybe identifies it as the cafe, and then I use this other sign for the gym, and of course we have the library one already. And then I saw this sign, and I was like, this would be cute to have on the stairs, like this is how you get to your room, go up the stairs, because we have no elevator, because for some reason on a 4-story floor building, you have to walk. Which is actually pretty accurate. We lived on the 3rd floor of like a, they call it a garden style, where it's like this outside walkway. Again, like you walk outside and you're physically outside even though it's enclosed. But we were on the 3rd floor of a garden style apartment, and when we lived in Florida, and taking groceries up or even just moving when we moved was horrendous, okay? It was terrible. My calves and my quads were burning, and we were only on the 2nd floor. I love this little desk thing. I feel like it fit the vibe. It's also from the same pack, I believe, as the desks we used for the little library room. Yeah, same pack, and I feel like it fit the vibe. And then I didn't realize that I stole that lamp instead of copying that lamp. And then I get down here and I'm like, why is there no lamp there? I need one of those. And just trying to decorate it with different things like you would find that are basic, but you know. And then I add the windows because, like, why would you want to be in a hallway with no windows? And I think that ended the inside pretty much. I add the curtains to the windows as well because I feel like you should probably have curtains in there like you do for the rest of the building. Plus, if it's in the beach, it probably gets hot. So wouldn't you want to like close the windows? I don't know. I used different ones for the hallway because I just felt like it called for it. Because I was thinking, like, how would you know which way to hold them if they're on the same side? I don't know. Again, my realism into the simism is it struggles a lot. So now we're going out to the pool deck, and this is like the final hurrah, basically. The final is actually me readjusting the stairwell and making sure all the stairs and the flooring and the wallpaper in the stairwell all match, and also adjusting the windows and doors as needed as well. Now I'm just kind of deciding what I want in the pool itself. Do I want lights around the pool? I definitely wanted this floaty because, oh my gosh, he is so stinking cute. And then just outfitting. Honestly, I don't really know. I assume these bubbles and seam things actually make it warm. Again, you see how much I utilize this a lot. Again, even though I really enjoy playing The Sims, it has been a very long time since I've had the opportunity to get into it as much as I have recently. And now that I've started streaming and everything, it just, I guess kind of opened an avenue for it, which I did not anticipate. I'm super glad because I do enjoy playing it and have enjoyed playing it for a really long time. But then like some of the modern stuff and like the things that are new to the packs and everything, I don't know. I don't know. I'm learning along with you, I guess. And then I think I end up choosing, so also these fountains drive me crazy. I tried everything. I don't know if it was like the fence making them glitch, or it's like I want to place this ball fountain like on top of the water or like on top of the edge here, and it like was giving me so much. I couldn't even take this freaking fish and just put it on the edge of this pool where like it would be, you know, splashing children and such. And I didn't just want one fish because I like symmetry. I was like, fish, get your butt in the corner. It took me way more frustrated finagling than I wanted to. And yes, I changed the water. I feel like it looks a little more realistic. I thought about changing the tiles, but I think it looks fine. It's chill. And then this dive board, for some reason, got glitched up on the second floor, and I couldn't get it to not be on the second floor unless I put it in the pool. You tell me. I don't know. It's just freaking weird glitches when it comes to The Sims. Makes me crazy. And then, of course, I felt like it would be super appropriate to have a barbecue on the deck for everyone to be able to use. I did want to use 2, but then there's another weird thing. The barbecues do not sit flush with the wall, but the countertops do. So there's this weird, like why would you not have more prep space? I know technically the Sims have the prep space on the side. I thought about putting just 3 in there without the thing, but I wanted a sink out there because again, I feel like that makes sense, right? If we're talking about realism. So I did have to manually set these, and then they snap together, you know, once the first one was set. It looks fine. It's weird that it's offset. I guess realistically, would you actually back your grill up to the the base of your foundation in the house? No, like that's just a huge fire hazard. But in The Sims, I don't know. Also, I guess it makes sense since the siding on our building is wooden. Hindsight's 2020, right? So then I wanted to put all these accessories up here and make it look like a real little like grilling cove. I do adjust that just a little bit because of the lighting that I want to put out here, because it gets pretty dark even with these specialty pole things. So like the pillars that we use are actually lighted, I believe, which is another reason I chose it, because I thought that was super cool and also another lighting option, but they don't produce tons of light. And when I switch it into nighttime mode, you could really tell it just was not given the light that it needed. Also, I wanted to put these on a cute diagonal, but then I don't know, I just got a little frustrated and was like, screw it, I can't even tell the spacing. They're not going to be even. I'll just put it like this. Plus, that opened up the opportunity for shrinking down things just a little bit and allowing for outdoor eating season and a bar, which I can't believe I didn't think about before. I was putting these out and I was like, is there a bar that kind of looks like these? I feel like there is, and it's this one. It's not exact, but I feel like it works really well. And the Sims can either do it themselves. I don't know if you can hire a bartender, but there'll be drinks out there. Like you can make your own. Everybody can sit out there and eat. It's chill. And I thought these lights were super cool. And again, I'm going to night mode here so I could just kind of see what it looks like. I end up putting these puck lights around the pool area because I feel like that makes sense. I found a couple of outdoor pod lights that I think you could put at the walkway here that makes it look really nice. Yeah, just overall super happy with the way that the lighting ended up turning out. And I think, yeah, I end up changing around the door and the windows here too. It's just kind of like an afterthought here because I'm looking at it going, well, I didn't end with that. Why does it look like that? But it's because, like I said at the beginning, I reserved the white windows for the main portion of the apartment here because of the difference in the the tile that we used. And then I used like the beach version, or is it like it's either from the archaeology pack or the beach pack. I don't know. Whichever ones, but those brown windows and the brown door that's like right there, I just felt like the front didn't match the back. And again, if we're talking realistically, you would probably have it match. So I do adjust just a little bit. I also adjust the number of pans I have out there. I thought about eliminating that pole, but then I was like, again, realistically, structurally, that wouldn't make a lot of sense. I think it works. It's fine. It provides a little bit more lighting out here. And overall, I do like the way that it turned out. I added a little bit of plants there. I'm not going to go crazy with the plants because there's not a lot of room anyway. I fixed the top here for the HVACs. I also I think I used that tile from the bathroom. Yeah, I used the tile from the bathroom on the top. I feel like it makes a lot of sense. It also darkens the top and makes that rim make a little bit more sense as well. Looking back on it, I mean, it's fine. It's just like a blacktop ceiling, whatever. I did try to make planters here. It did not work. I ended up using in-game ones because it was driving me crazy and I couldn't figure out how to make the platform not part of the foundation. I guess in hindsight, I probably could have tried to drop the platform down, but it was just like not working for me. And I also couldn't figure out how to drop the foundation without dropping the entire foundation, like just the platform. So I ended up using these, which I think look fine. You're bringing in the warmth of the tones on the side that's different than the trim on the bottom. It works. It's fine. I also thought about putting a gate here, but then I would have to like pull out the stairs, and I didn't want to do that because I liked the way it looked. Because then I was thinking, realistically, if you lived in an apartment complex, you would probably have the pool cut off from people just like walking into the pool area. But that is the one realistic point I kind of just said whatever to, because I could not get it to work with the space that I had. Realistically, I could have also pulled out the tiles a little bit more and then gone all the way to the edge of the space, but I don't know. I just didn't care that much at that point. And then this is me just making sure that the hallways for the stairwells and all of the stairs matched. I also made sure to put the railings on them so that they matched, as well as the fencing around them. You know, just wanted the hallway to look cohesive before we started getting into the other interior things. I think what I'll probably do is begin outfitting the individual apartments and then starting to decorate the inside hallways here, just because I feel like that makes the most sense. I don't know that I'm gonna need to do a whole lot with, you know, other than putting like, I think I need to put in like trash chutes or something on each floor. I think that makes sense. This is me deciding I'm going to change that door and the windows as well. But other than that, I don't know where I'm going to put the mailboxes now that I'm thinking about it. I'm going to probably have to fit them here. We'll probably do that right at the beginning of the next playthrough. So mailbox, and maybe look at the fridge in that cafe area. But yeah, other than like trash chutes in each of the thresholds for the stairwells, not 100% sure I need to do a whole lot else on the balcony until we get to the very top. Now, realistically, what I could do, in some complexes I've seen, what they do is they'll have like maybe a 1 or 2 tile walkway, and then maybe a tile, and this is speaking tiles in real life, but they'll have the tiles, but they will have kind of like a cutout, and I'll experiment with it when we get to like the hallways or whatever, but they'll have a cutout where even though you can walk past somebody's porch, I say porch in quotations, even though you can't see my fingers, you'll still walk through and have like your own little quote sectioned private space. So maybe we'll do that. I'm not 100% sure. Either way, this is where we end. This is the building that we end with. I think it looks fantastic where we've started. Obviously, we'll get more windows in and start building those out. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I had a wonderful time with it. I appreciate you watching another build. Leave your comments below on what you think, and I will see you guys in the next part of this build, or of course any other future video drops.